Hi everyone, welcome back to the Sales Ops Effect. I'm really excited for this next series of episodes because it's about something that I hold dear. I mean, obviously I hold all of these things there, but this is the core of everything. And it's about the metrics that you need to be looking at in order to grow. This is the Sales Ops Effect where we drive predictable growth in small to medium-sized business. Doing in the background is collating the top 12, so it's strategic growth metrics. And I'm sticking to that 12 number because even though you can have 100 metrics and then tons of different filter cuts, 12 is enough to give you a good, thorough look, particularly at the filter cut level that I've had it, that I'll be explaining it to you in a moment. But it gives you a lot of data, but it's not too overwhelming, right? So I'll be speaking to you as my CEOs that are running their sales teams, my CROs, my VP of sales, because you obviously will be familiar with the data. And whether you have somebody in-house to analyze it or not, there's ways that you can analyze the data so that it shows you what you want it to show you, if I'm being perfectly honest. And having someone with the sales operations expertise, which is what I'm about to walk you through, looking at it, that perspective, that growth perspective, that sustainable growth, that really, let's deal with these problems. Let's look at things as they are. That is what actually makes the difference. You do need to track the metrics in the first place and have that discipline. And then you need to have the metrics analyzed and explained back to you without any bias, only with the objective of growth. Because even if you're handling your own metrics, you know how long it takes to really look at those things. And you know you can get lost in the weeds. And with everything that's going on, do you really need to be spending time doing that? But for the purposes of this, if you are handling your own metrics, if you're looking to get your metrics handled to help you to make sure you're achieving your sales goals and growing the business, let's go through what the SOIT 12 are today. Okay. And I'm not going to be showing you tons of stuff on the screen right now if you're watching this, because we're going to be going through them in detail as the weeks go by, but I'll do my best to describe because this is just going to be a really quick, it's a short episode to just tell you what's in it. So on the first slide, I've got 3 charts. And the first one is closed won by month. Most of the charts are trend charts that are 13-month trend, okay? The reason why I choose to look at a 13-month trend chart is so that you can look at both your month-over-month progression or decline and your year-over-year progression or decline. Because where we only look at things in a calendar year, because that's how our goals are set usually, sometimes when we're trying to relay that information to salespeople, then they get really tunnel vision about this calendar year. And they, towards the end of the year, don't do enough to start building up the business for the next year. And that's the reason why at this level, you want to be seeing things as a trend so that when you're having those discussions with your salespeople, you can keep the whole pipeline in mind and not just focusing on the big wins that you're going to be looking for right now. So most of the graphs, most of the charts are going to be 13-month trend, and I'll tell you if it isn't. So this first one, it's closed won by month, and closed won does mean when you get the signature. It doesn't mean when they've said, yes, we're definitely going to do it, but nothing's come in, that's it. And you want to see that firm number. Again, most of the charts don't have a filter cut by new business versus expansion or retain. You can, but the reason why I don't put them in the standard is because even though I'm going to be analyzing them in the background, it can be too much information on the page. It can distract people unnecessarily. It doesn't mean the information isn't useful, but in terms of what you're seeing in your hard copy reports, soft hard copy reports, because, they're frozen numbers, it's too much information and it's very easy to be distracted by it. So I'm going to go through a little bit quicker now. Close won by month. Then the next one is forecast accuracy by month. And we'll get into on the next slide where you get the forecast number from, because that's different from the goal. So you might have set out your goals for each month, but your salespeople, based on what they're putting in the system, will tell you, this is what we actually expect to be coming in September, October, right? And so you have that number, and then you have what actually happened, and you get that percentage, okay? The next one is win rate by month. I could talk for days about win rate. Your win rate calculation needs to be the same. If the win rate calculation keeps changing over time, then you're not comparing like with like. So it needs to be the same calculation, or if you do choose to change what the calculation is, you have to back calculate the other months so that you can see if you're still on track, whether, you're actually winning more than you expected to win. Your probabilities rising, which, everybody wants because we spend so much time on our opportunities. We want to win more of them, right? So that's that one. Again, all three of those were 13-month trends. Then we have on the next slide, new opportunities by month. So that's created in that month. It doesn't matter whether they were closed or not, or they're still open, whatever, the opportunities that were created in that month. And that one I actually just list as the volume, not the value, because sometimes, depending on how long your sales cycle is or what it is that you sell, you might not know the true value of an opportunity whilst it's in the qualify stage. And so that's why I go for the number, because based on our calculations for how big our pipeline size needs to be based on our goals, you can then back calculate just how many opportunities need to be created per month so that you have the greatest chance of getting there. A quick break here to let you know, if you're looking for a sales operations expert to analyze your metrics so that you know whether you're making the right sales strategy decisions, book the consultation call link in wherever you're seeing this, in the description, wherever you're seeing this, and then we'll talk. It's a 30-minute phone call, so we're not going to be on the phone all day. And then we can really get to the core about what help it is that you need and where it is that you're trying to bring your business. You don't have to go it alone. Let's talk. Next, we've got pipeline as of the first of the month. Again, I find this a really, really important chart. It's not always easy to get inside your dashboard, inside your CRM. So that's why it's worth exporting so that you have your soft hard copy, quote unquote. And knowing your pipeline as of the first of the month, that frozen number is helpful when you're looking at it in a trend, because I'm presuming your business is relatively stable, but you want to, and you know how big your pipeline needs to be. You want to see the pipeline size. Every single time you close a deal out, whether you win it or lose it, you want to make sure you're refilling the pipeline. Otherwise, and you'll be able to see in the example that I'll show you in a few weeks, otherwise, if the pipeline just starts shrinking, it's great if you're winning some stuff, but you're still losing some stuff. And what that means is that everybody looks at the short term and nobody refills the pipeline. And so therefore, in 6 months' time, now you've got a problem. And now you're scrambling. And so that's why that frozen number is good to look at, because it makes you focus in on, okay, yeah, the pipeline looks good, but actually this time last year, it was 50% higher, which means we're probably going to have a problem in a few months, right? Now, the chart after that, another 13-month trend chart. So all of these so far have been 13-month trend, is the weighted pipeline by close date. And that is where you get your forecasting from at your base level. Sometimes people forecast using closed won data, as well as deals in the pipeline that are weighted, ready to be closed. But for the purposes of this, we're just looking at the weighted pipeline, and it's weighted based on the stages that you have in your pipeline and the probabilities that are assigned to them. So for example, qualify stage would be 10% and proposal stage might be 50%, right? And you use the weighted pipeline and you list it out by close date, not when it was created, not when the last activity was, by close date, because that should effectively tell you how many deals, the sum of deals that you expect to close in November, for example. Because if the deal keeps progressing to November, then that number is just going to get higher because it's much more likely, right? And that's why you use that number instead of the full pipeline number based on close date for your forecast accuracy, because it's just closer. Obviously, there's some fine tuning that you're going to have to do there, where, if there's deals that are just sitting in qualify for a long time, that's going to have to be dealt with, but we've got another chart for that, right? So next up, we have one chart on here that's got a 13-month trend, and that's the average sales cycle by month. So the number of days it takes to close. So let's say it's, what did we have here on this one? I think we had 64 days or something like that. You want to know whether that average changes over time, because if it's taking you longer to close win deals, is there a reason for that? Is it because the deals are bigger, they're larger sums? Or is it for some other reason? Is it because they're coming from a different lead source? Because that effectively means your cost of sale is going up. If it's taking your salespeople longer to close the deal, they're spending more time on that deal and they can't spend more time on others, right? That's why it's really important. And we've got another two charts here, which are not 13-month trends. They're literally just looking at the stages. And the first one is the unweighted pipeline by stage. So your full amount by qualify, develop, propose, and review. That's my example sales stages. And we use the unweighted version because if we're looking at the stages, then you know that it's not worth as much as it is, but you want to see the potential. This is where we start looking at the potential that we could be winning if we actually dealt with these deals better, right? And then the next chart that's also by stage, qualify, develop, propose, and review, is stuck deals by stage. And so that looks at deals that have been live for over your average sales cycle time. So let's say the average sales cycle was 64. You can either look at everything that's 65 days or older, or you can give it a little bit of wiggle room and say 75 days or older, right? And that will show you the deals that are stuck. And then should you want to, you'd be able to go into more detail as to how long deals spend inside each stage. But effectively, we both know if deals are taking too long to close, the chances of them closing lower, right? And so that's why that's really important, because salespeople might tell you, oh yeah, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. But then if you can't see all of the other metrics changing, there's no activity on it, it's not coming, right? And then for our last slide, we have one 13-month trend on here, and that's your average deal size. And this can be looked at as a whole, or if you have different services, you can look at it under different services. With all of these things, the filter cuts for different services, your opportunity type, lead source can be applied. But like I say, I keep things at the higher level because the analysis can happen in the background. But what you need to see as a leader to make those decisions based on the data, you don't need all of the detail. You just need to know that the detail was used to help calculate it, and you can understand it, but you don't need to be seeing it on the chart so that it just makes things confusing, right? Otherwise, you'll end up doing your own analysis and you have other things to do. The other two charts we have here are pie charts, and one of them is opportunity type wins in the last 90 days. That last 90 days, I like to keep it a rolling last 90 days rather than this quarter, because quarters are literally just arbitrary, right? We just set those in. But the rolling 90 days really shows you the true trend, the true energy about what is going on. And then the other one that's a chart for the last 90 days as well is wins by lead source. And again, it's one of those things that you want to be noticing, because if you're going out to events and things like that, and after the expected period of time, that event's percentage doesn't jump, then are you getting an ROI on that event? So that is the whistle-stop tour of the SOET Standard 12. And we'll be going through in the next few weeks with details, and I will be showing things on the screen and talking through that. So wherever you're watching this or listening to it, I believe Spotify has video podcasts. So if we're not doing that already, then we're going to be doing that. But if not, you can find it on YouTube. We're going to be going through all of these things, and do ask me questions, because the reason why I'm explaining it is so that you know that when you're receiving these reports, what you should expect, what you should ask for, and how to read them, how to understand them, and start asking your own questions. Okay, so let me know if that helped you. Let me know if you're looking forward to the next few weeks, and I'll be speaking with you soon. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please look at the list of other episodes. I'm sure there's another one that can help you. See you next time.